today or tonight I'm going to do another how-to that was very useful for me on my Appalachian Trail through hike. And one of the things that gets tricky when you go on a long distance backpacking trip is meat. If you're out in the woods for any extended period of time, you get sick of tuna packets, you get sick of peanut butter, you get sick of the little chicken packets. I mean, those are all good for a while, but nothing beats some ground beef. I had dehydrated ground beef out on the trail. I had to get it sent to me. Of course, I didn't tote all of it for 6 months, but and it was awesome. And I was able to trade it for some things because everyone was always like, oh my gosh, is that ground beef? Because nobody ever hardly sees it out on the trail. And even the folks that do have it, usually it's what hikers call gravel because it's so hard. So there's a little trick to dehydrating your ground beef, and I'm gonna teach all that today. So what you'll need is a pound of ground beef, and this is the, let's see, this is 93% lean, so 7% fat. So you want 15% fat or less, really. The less fat, the better, because fat is what's hard to dehydrate, and it stays in the meat and it'll spoil it. Breadcrumbs. You need a half a cup of breadcrumbs per pound of meat. I'm just going to do a pound today. Parchment paper, or it depends on what kind of dehydrator you have. That's next on the list. A dehydrator, and then a mixing bowl, some scissors, just some basic things. Now, let me go over the dehydrator that I have a little bit and talk to you about that. So you really need a dehydrator that has a temperature setting. For this, we're going to set it to 145 degrees. The ones that you can't set, I don't know, I just would be a little leery of that. But so this dehydrator here, it actually blows air from the back. So I'm going to use parchment paper. If yours blows from the bottom up, you may want to get some of those screens because, you know, ground beef will fall through these holes here. So you can get those screen things that'll hold finer grained stuff, if you want to call it that, but you know what I'm trying to say. But for mine, the parchment paper will be fine because it's going to be blown this way across the meat. Okay, so you're going to take your meat and squeeze it into a bowl. Next, you're going to sprinkle a half a cup of breadcrumbs, and again, half a cup per 1 pound of ground beef. And as you can see, I don't have any kind of fancy breadcrumbs. You could mess with flavoring a little bit if you wanted to, but just Walmart brand is all I'm using. Most of the time you're not really eating that healthy out on the trail anyway because you're burning all the calories. So you're just going to mix this stuff really, really well. And the secret is breadcrumbs. That's what makes your ground beef different than everyone else's and not gravel. So what happens is the breadcrumbs mix in with the meat, and then when you go to rehydrate your meat and you boil it with ramen noodles or nor rice sides or pasta sides, it helps to allow water to penetrate and rehydrate better. So there you go. But if you're gonna store this for a long time, you might want to not put in the breadcrumbs because they're gonna hold some of the oil and fat, and you don't want your oil and fat being held if you're gonna store this for, you know, a year. Okay, so once your meat and breadcrumbs are mixed well, we'll move to the stove. You're gonna brown your hamburger just like you would for anything else. You're gonna wanna make sure you blot grease off of this as much as possible and just try to get off any excess oil and fat and grease that we can, because again, that's what makes it go rancid. Also, while we're cooking this, we want to break up the clumps of meat as much as possible, because the smaller the pieces, the more evenly it will dehydrate. Okay, once again, we're going to start blotting. And I mean, still some grease there, even with how lean it is. Grease is your enemy. Okay, now I'm going to put this in here on a paper towel where I will commence to blotting it more. Okay, so You're going to put the ground beef after you cook it on parchment paper, and it's just easier if you have like a cutout of your, the shape of your tray to trace the parchment paper, if you're anal. So, that's what I'm going to do. Once you got your parchment paper cut out, you can go ahead and spread your meat onto it. Okay, so now it's all spread out and ready to dehydrate. Alright, again, it is set to 145, and here we go. And it'll take probably about 6 hours. I mean, it depends on the dehydrator, but the ground beef should be hard when it's done. And then every so often I'm gonna open this up while it's dehydrating, blot it, and kind of break up these meatballs. So, a couple hours in, you can see how the edges are a little more dry than the center, so go ahead and stir them up and blot them and keep drying. All right, voila. Nice gravel that will rehydrate into wonderfully soft ground beef. Okay, so after you've dehydrated your ground beef, what do you do with it? Well, obviously add it to your food, but the best way I found to package it is vacuum sealing. You know, it'll last a while like that, but if you're gonna use it pretty quickly, then, you know, Ziploc bags will be fine. That's what I'm gonna do with this. I'm not gonna take the time to vacuum seal it today, but so 1 pound for me. I mean, I ate a few pieces along the way just to taste test, but it made about 1.5 cups. So I would say divvy it up into 1/4 cup increments. I just found that anything less than that doesn't really give you as much as you'd like, and I mean, you could definitely do more than that. So if you like, especially, I mean, men may eat more, you know, than women, but 1/4 cup's good for me. So just try it out, you know, see what you like, and take some ground beef on your next backpacking trip, and all of the hikers around you will be jealous. I hope that y'all found this useful. If you have any comments or anything else you would like to see similar to this, just put it below. See y'all later. Okay, so I am here at Amicalola State Park, and I am about to hike the approach trail. Just weighed my pack in and signed the register, so I'm off.